Good evening to all of you, and thank you for joining us on 13 Plus. I'm Mary Coleman. In tonight's story, initiations into fraternities have come into the spotlight with their dangerous and sometimes even deadly outcomes. As our national investigative team found out, state and federal lawmakers have not taken enough steps to keep it from happening.
What County 911? What is your emergency?
Hi, someone that we know is non-responsive and he drank alcohol, like a lot of alcohol.
It's just before midnight, March 4th, 2021, at Bowling Green State University in Ohio.
Do you see his chest rising up and down?
No, not right now.
Okay, he's blue?
Yeah.
Okay, then there's a good chance he's not breathing.
The once vibrant sophomore, Stone Foltz, is on the floor of his apartment, purple and unresponsive. Just an hour before, he'd been at Pi Kappa Alpha, attending an initiation event, where police say he downed an entire bottle of bourbon in 23 minutes.
Do you see his chest rising at all?
She said, does you see his chest rising? I don't see it rising, guys.
Foltz's girlfriend, who was called to watch him after his fraternity brothers dropped him at home alone, panics as a roommate steps in to start CPR.
Oh my God.
Okay, listen to me. You need to help your friend. Calm down.
Okay.
A dispatcher counts through compressions.
4,
Higher
5,
and higher they go, every number
7,
a prayer.
8, 9.
And when they're done, the critical question.
You do see it going up and down?
Flip him, please.
Do you see his chest?
Flip him. Oh my God.
Is it rising
Oh
or
my
not?
God. No.
Put someone else on the phone. Put someone else on the phone right now that will help him.
But help for the 20-year-old business student, athlete, and big brother is too late. Doctors cannot save Stone Foltz, who died 3 days later from fatal alcohol intoxication. His death, one of at least 50 in the last 22 years, linked to hazing.
It's a blow to the chest, and you never get used to it.
Hank Newer knows more about hazing incidents than most. He's written 5 books about the topic and maintains what many consider the most comprehensive database of hazing deaths in the country.
For example, this one's a death, Chico State University.
Newer's research shows that between 1959 and 2022, hazing has humiliated countless students, with at least one of them severely injured or killed every single year.
Over here, Gary DeVerselli Jr., Robert Eugene Tipton Jr., Max Groover, David Bogenberger.
Newer remembers the name of every student who's died. Each one has left an indelible impression, and he can rattle out even the smallest details off the top of his head about the hazing incidents so many organizations see as nothing more than bonding.
Why do you think people hold so tightly to these rituals or traditions that essentially put everybody at risk?
They bond. Hazing, unfortunately, does bond people together, and it gives them a quote-unquote family. Students make friends for life, and that has been part of the problem with alumni fighting to keep what they call traditions, and I call dangerous stunts.
Some call it criminal, but our months-long investigation found that depends on where you live. Our national investigative team, along with our partners at the Arnold Center for Investigative Journalism at Indiana University, analyzed state hazing laws nationwide. We found a patchwork of regulation that's done little to stop these disturbing and sometimes deadly rites of passage. 6 states currently have no anti-hazing laws on the books at all. In 22 states across the U.S., schools don't have to write or post policies against the practice, and only 10 require colleges and universities, including private schools, to publicly report hazing cases.
You need to know what organization, when it happened, how often it happened. Did it happen, last year and then the year before? What were the repercussions? So there's so much more information that you need to make an educated decision.
I love that one, though.
Yeah.
Evelyn and Jim Piazza got an education in hazing the worst way possible. It cost them their youngest son, Tim. The 19-year-old was on his very first night of pledging Beta Theta Pi at Penn State University in February 2017, when a lawsuit filed by his family claims he went through a legendary hazing event the alcohol-fueled obstacle course known as the Gauntlet. After surviving the drinking contest behind these doors, Tim, who was heavily intoxicated, fell down the stairs and was knocked unconscious. He was dumped on a couch in the basement and largely ignored for hours, with no call to 911, even though his family says Tim struggled overnight, falling again. In the morning, a grand jury report claims fraternity members Googled Tim's symptoms, cleaned him up, and tried to add layers to warm his already cold body before dialing for help.
You found him curled up in a fetal position, stiff, in a basement. You're still not calling 911? I mean, what kind of people are you?
Does that haunt you?
Yeah.
That haunts me. I close my eyes, that haunts me. That vision.
And the fact that somebody didn't value our son's life. It took us 19 years to raise an incredible, amazing individual, and it took 12 hours for people to destroy that.
The Piazzas have spent the last 5 years fighting to make sure Tim's life wasn't lost in vain. They've successfully lobbied for state hazing laws in Pennsylvania and their home state of New Jersey.
It's your responsibility. If you see something, you need to raise your hand and say something.
They've talked about Tim's life and his death in painstaking detail with students across the nation, giving the warnings their son didn't get.
They all think they're invincible and that nothing bad's going to happen, but it can happen in a split second. You cannot predict what's going to happen with hazing.
After the massive criminal indictment of Tim's fraternity brothers, many predicted what happened at Penn State would finally be a tipping point. But these tragedies continue to span the nation. Our national investigative team spent months digging into the problem, filing information requests for hazing reports from the 46 largest public and private universities required by law to make them public. We ultimately found or obtained records from 35 schools, uncovering 342 punishable hazing incidents dating back to 2017.
So I'm asking you to deconstruct the story.
We took our findings to the expert.
What's your reaction to that number?
Laughably small.
You think it's way higher?
Yes, much higher. You have to know that fraternity chapters are quite good at covering up hazing, and that educators are not so good as getting into it.
Although other organizations and clubs had hazing episodes, the reports we obtained show fraternities are tied to most of the cases, more than 75% of all the incidents. But trends are hard to analyze, given almost half the case reports we obtained didn't include specific details. But our team found alcohol was a major factor, cited in more than 120 hazing incidents. 119 cases involved physical abuse, including sleep deprivation, punishments involving food and strenuous exercise. And 11 hazing reports detailed students placed in compromising or sexually charged situations.
And it tells us something about our times, tells us something about what people are seeing on YouTube, tells us something about the games that are being played, but it also tells us something about how parties are being conducted on campus. Where does it end? What happens in the next 10 years if we don't stop it?
Yet, despite new tragedies every year, hazing continues. In October 2021, video obtained by our national investigative team shows one of the most shocking hazing cases captured on camera. It features Danny Santulli, a 19-year-old freshman at the University of Missouri. He's in the green blindfold, being herded down the stairs at Phi Gamma Delta fraternity. He's given an entire bottle of vodka to finish, even as brothers funnel beer down his throat. The video shows Santulli struggling for hours on a couch before he's carried out, the group dropping him on his head on the way to the car.
Why must you put people through their paces in order to get into the group? Why would you use alcohol use as the litmus test of manhood?
As in the past, it's a test where the system's failure to changes everything. This is Danny Santulli now. His attorney, who's filed a lawsuit on the family's behalf, says alcohol poisoning left him with brain damage, unable to walk, talk, or see.
It's something you can't imagine.
It was unimaginable for Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy until the death of Max Groover at his alma mater, Louisiana State University, in 2017. After that, he introduced the End All Hazing Act. The bill would require colleges and universities nationwide to post hazing incidents on their websites, providing transparency that currently only exists in 10 states, where some universities still fought our team's attempts to obtain their incident reports despite the law. And despite vocal bipartisan support from lawmakers, impacted families, and national Greek organizations, the bill has repeatedly failed to pass through Congress, keeping the veil of secrecy for many schools fully intact.
What would you say to the colleges and universities who are unwilling to provide this information and in some cases have to be forced to tell the public what happens?
I would say that points to the need of our legislation. There's always going to be an attorney that's going to screen that letter of request and says this opens us up to liability or to bad publicity, etc. Now, if it's a federal law, it becomes less easy to hide that.
Through dozens of records we obtained, we discovered only about a third of the organizations involved in the incidents we examined were suspended by their universities, and just 11 groups were banned from campus. The decisions permanently breaking those ties that supposedly bind during hazing and leave heartbreak in its wake.
The girls need to go in another room. 23.
Hey, go to another room. Go to another room.
25.
With friends and family on the other end of the phone line, as their loved ones become statistics and headline stories. Max, Tim, Danny, Stone. Names that live on when lives are lost to hazing.
We will leave you with a live look of that Tucson sunset. They just get better and better, don't they? Hope you're having a great evening, and join us for 13 News live at 10 for more of your news and weather. Have a great evening.